Here are 20 new free-range, artisanal, handcrafted shortcuts made by humans. Like a shortcut that automatically splits the dinner bill and sends an Apple Cash request. Save an entire web page as a PDF and get a summary and put it all in an Apple Note. Set Do Not Disturb and an alarm for a quick nap, and wake up to an old school clock radio. Convert time zones via dictation, download Reddit images, and we're gonna hack reminders as an inventory list and even add some NFC tags for fun. And remember, links to download all these shortcuts are in the video description below. First, let's talk about our dinner bill splitter. When you run this shortcut, it's gonna ask how much your dinner bill was. We'll put $75. It'll ask how many people are splitting the bill. We'll put 3. You can automatically add a tip amount. We'll choose 20%. It's gonna calculate the difference and then populate a text. This way you can quickly send your friends that everyone owes $30 and you have the tip amount and total for filling out the receipt. And you can even take this a step further, and rather than sending it as a text message, you can actually request the split amount via Apple Cash to specific people. And Apple Cash request actually works in groups as well. If you want to do this rather than text, just delete the text action. We're going to get more into Apple Pay requests in a moment. Next, I've had several remember this shortcuts in the past, but someone in my shortcuts community wanted to be able to save entire web pages and get a little summary and add it to an Apple Note. Well, there's actually a great feature when you're in Safari and you want to save an entire web page. Just take a screenshot and rather than screen right here, go over to full page. This is actually going to create a PDF of the entire web page, top to bottom. Well, when you tap the share button here at the top, you can run my shortcut, Remember This Web Page. It'll ask if you want to add any context to whatever you're saving. You don't have to though, just tap Done. It's going to take this full PDF, send it through Apple Intelligence, give a title, summary, and then create an Apple Note right here. It's going to try and title that content, give you a little summary, any important bullet points, and then the PDF is actually attached completely here in the Apple Note. This way you can save that for reference later. And that's my Remember This web page shortcut. Does require Apple Intelligence. Next, there's a lot of different morning routine and briefing shortcuts, and everyone likes it a little different. And this one was actually built by Noal in my shortcuts community. By the way, you can join over 4,300 people and join my shortcuts community for free. Ask for shortcuts help, submit shortcuts that you've built. And if you want even more content, you can join over 1,000 paying members and get access to my shortcut of the week. You can search my entire shortcuts database and see every shortcut I've shared over the last many years. Watch my YouTube videos ad and sponsor free right here in the community. And I do weekly live streams just for members where I share new shortcuts, walk through troubleshooting processes, and you can watch all the past stream replays right here. You can join by going to shortcut.bot or scanning this QR code right here. Appreciate your support, helping me be an independent creator and creating a bunch of fun shortcuts. And those live streams are about to get wild when iOS 27 comes out, and I think there's going to be some big shortcuts updates. But this great shortcut from Noal is super fast. It gets your events, the weather for today, and then creates an Apple Note with today's date. It shows your current agenda, any events. You got the weather forecast right here. I like the formatting they did. It also pulls your top priorities from reminders that are due and more. Love this version of it, and I'll be sharing that down in the show notes and a link to their post so you can see where they shared it in the community. But I also did a little twist on it because someone wanted an even faster brief that doesn't create a note, but just shows a little window with their morning brief. So this morning brief shortcut will give you today's forecast right here. It tells you today's date, and it just pulls your current events for the day. You can have this shortcut run automatically and send it as a text, or just run it manually and you'll see it pop up in that little window. And it's super fast, so it's easy to run even from the home screen or a widget. Now this next shortcut is gonna have a ton of use cases, and we're gonna actually use an NFC tag to make it even more fun. But I call this my storage inventory. If you were trying to track of any kind of inventory for office supplies, what's in your deep freezer, what's in your storage bins, this shortcut actually hacks a reminders list and then helps you keep an inventory with quantity. So the first thing you want to do is actually go to the Reminders app and then create a new list. You might want to have multiple lists, one for maybe a deep freezer you're trying to keep track of, another for storage, maybe another for office supplies, and then whatever you name your reminders list here, put it in the text block at the top. Shout out to Calvin for the community for helping figure out how to do this with just one variable. Then when you add items to the storage list, you can do it manually. Put the quantity in the notes field of a reminder. So let's say we want to add paper clips and then we can add a number, and we'll be able to do this with a shortcut as well. Just want to show you how the reminder list works. Now when I run this shortcut, I can tap View Inventory and it will quickly show me all the items with the quantity next to it. Now if I want to add an item, I can do that through the shortcut as well. I'll do new item, add the item count. We'll say maybe I have 10, and we'll call this item water bottles. Now that new item is going to be added to the list automatically, and if I run this again to view the inventory, I have all of it, including the new water bottles. Then you can also adjust your quantity with the same shortcut. I can choose Update Inventory, let's say water bottles, and you can plus or minus. Just tap the minus here. Let's say we used 5, and it's going to automatically recalculate that quantity. So now we have 5, and if I run it to view the full inventory, you'll see it's reflected right here. And all it's doing is changing that reminders list in the background, and that means you can also collaborate with someone else, like your spouse or partner, keeping track of what's in the freezer. Just share this reminders list with them, and you can both update it using the same shortcut. And we can streamline this process even more by using NFC tags. This is a rather large NFC tag, but you can get some that are like stickers or really thin ones, and I'll put a couple links down in the video description. They usually come in packs of like 50 or 100. And now within our Shortcuts Automations tab, here at the bottom, just go to the middle tab. I'll tap the plus icon to create a new automation, and then scroll down to NFC. When I tap the NFC tag, here, I want it to run immediately, and we're gonna scan the NFC tag. So tap here to scan, then hold the top of your phone near whatever NFC tag you have. Just like that, it actually scans the tag, and let's name this something like freezer. Tap next, and then all we have to do is run the shortcut that we created. I'm gonna run the freezer version of my inventory shortcut. I'll share both shortcuts below in the video description, but now whenever I go up to my freezer, if I wanna check the inventory, I can just scan the NFC tag, it runs that shortcut, I can tap view inventory, and I can see what's in my freezer. Or if I want to quickly add something because I just put something in the freezer, I can scan the tag, tap new item, and it runs the shortcut again. Then you can put different NFC tags in your storage closet, your office supplies, storage bins. That's a great idea to put those little stickers on plastic storage bins. Then you can have shortcuts for the different bins you're using, or just add another choose from menu at the very top, and then you can choose from different reminders lists all in the same shortcut. And get subscribed because I think we're going to find a lot of fun ways to hack reminders with shortcuts to stay organized. And speaking of organization, if you need help organizing your money, that's where today's sponsor comes in, Monarch. I've been using Monarch for months now, and it has helped me keep track of all my expenses, recurring charges, and they even have a great widget you can put on your home screen to quickly scan receipts or upload an image. And they have another widget, and here you can add one of your flexible budgeting plans or your latest transactions, which I have on my Today view. And it's private and ad-free. You're the customer, not the product. So I can see my personal expenses like Instacart and Amazon, but also my business recurring charges like change detection or Apple subscriptions. And now that I'm an independent creator, I really appreciate this cash flow view so I can see income versus expenses over time. Monarch syncs with over 13,000 institutions. It's a fast and secure setup with all major banks, credit cards, and brokerages. And now I can just go to one place to have a complete picture of my finances. You get one clean dashboard and you can see all your accounts broken down individually here. And I really appreciate the flexible budgeting, which separates fixed and flexible spending. You can customize rules and categories. And you can see I've even broken things down into podcast income, business, affiliate, and more. Plus you get AI-powered insights, and Monarch will use your real financial data to surface helpful insights and explanations about your money. Plus it's couples ready. There's a shared view that keeps partners aligned and have the same financial picture for you and your significant other. And it's beautiful and cross-platform. It looks great in the iPhone and iPad app. You can use it on the web. And I appreciate getting these emails when a new recurring merchant has been found. I can jump in and quickly see who was charging me, and if that's a subscription I want to keep or I can cancel. So scan this QR code right here and you can get 50% off your first year of Monarch. You can also use the promo code Robles50, and there's a link down in the description. However you want to do it, scan here or the link below, save 50% on your first year. My thanks to Monarch for sponsoring this video. Next, this was a fun request from the community. The person wanted to be able to either skip forward a track if they're listening to music, or seek forward a certain amount of time if they're listening to a podcast. Now, hopefully in iOS 27, we're going to get shortcuts actions that can detect what kind of media is currently playing. But what this simple shortcut does is it tries to get the current song. So if you're playing music, it will be able to get it. And then it has an if statement. So if the title has any value, and it will only show a title when a song from Apple Music is playing, it's going to skip to the next track. Otherwise, meaning if you're playing a podcast, if you're watching a video on YouTube, it's going to seek forward by however many seconds you want here. Let's actually make this a little more, like 90 seconds. And now let's test it out. Let's say I'm listening to a podcast like Primary Technology. That's my weekly tech podcast with Jason Aten. You can actually watch or listen in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Now you'll see here we're at about 12 seconds. And if I run this shortcut, which you can put in the control center or the action button, you see it actually skipped forward 90 seconds because I'm listening to a podcast. But then what if I'm listening to music? Well, it should skip forward to the next track. I'll go to my music app. I'll listen to this ambient album here playing Tortoise number 1. And now because Apple Music is playing, I can go back, I'll run this shortcut, it should go to the next track, and I'll check here in the dynamic island, and sure enough, we're on Tortoise track 2. So now you can use one shortcut to either skip forward a track Only works with Apple Music because Spotify doesn't have shortcuts actions. Hit them up, or it will seek forward if you're listening to a podcast. Next, someone requested to be able to set a focus mode and set an alarm for something like a nap. And Jamie from the community started this one, and I tweaked it just a little bit. You can change how long you want your nap to be, or whatever set time. You can change 35 minutes to an hour or more, and this is going to turn on Do Not Disturb for that amount of time. Then it will turn off after 35 minutes. And it's going to create an alarm 35 minutes from now called Nap. So if I run this shortcut, Do Not Disturb should be enabled, and it's going to be adding 35 minutes. Let's check it from our control center, and it's on until 11 a.m., which is 35 minutes from the current time. And it should have also created an alarm called Nap. Let's check our clock app, and sure enough, under the alarms, we have a nap with an alarm for 11 a.m. Now, here's the cool part. If you wanted to create another focus mode, maybe one that's specifically called nap or sleep, in addition to an alarm or instead of, we can actually have some music play when a focus mode is disabled. So Do Not Disturb is on right now. Let's say we're currently napping. Let's go over to our Automation tab, tap the plus icon, and this time scroll to the bottom. I'm going to go to my Do Not Disturb focus mode, and I want this automation to run when the focus mode is turned off, which is happening automatically thanks to the shortcut we ran. I want this to run immediately, don't notify when run, and let's say I want to wake up to a specific Apple Music playlist. Just create a new shortcut, and then I'll search for the music action, scroll down until you find play music here, and then you can tap the music section, and you can choose from your library. Let's search for an 80s rock playlist. Here's 80s Rock Essentials. I'm going to tap this plus icon at the top so it just adds all those tracks to this shortcut, and we should be good to go there. Let's also set our volume, because you might be a heavy napper or sleeper like myself, and let's say we want the media volume, well, maybe not to 100. We'll say 92%. That means whenever Do Not Disturb is turned off, meaning when our nap is over, it's going to start playing that music playlist automatically. And we can test this out just by swiping down, and I can turn it off manually, and our volume should change, and 80s rock should start playing. Let's disable it. And there we go. So not only do we have an alarm set, but we can wake up to 80s rock or whatever music we want because that focus mode is getting disabled. Next, someone in the community needed time zone conversion to be able to set several dates and times, change that to a destination time zone, and send that in a message. So this is my time zone converter. It's going to ask what the city is in that you're trying to convert to. Let's say London. And then it's going to ask how many different dates you would like to send. Maybe I want to send 3 different dates and times, and then you'll get the date picker. So let's say we want to do June 1st, tap done. We're going to do June 3rd, tap done, and then June 5th. You can also set the time down here. Once you choose your dates and times, it's actually using Apple Intelligence to convert those time zones, and it got your current time zone by your location, so you don't have to choose that manually. And now we have the conversions. These are the dates and times in my time zone, Eastern Daylight, and here are the dates and times for the person in London. And you can switch out this quick look for a send email or send via text or copy it to clipboard. But I wanted to be able to do this even faster. So I created a second version that lets you just dictate those dates and times. So when you run this shortcut, again, it will ask what city, let's say Amsterdam. Tap done, June 1st at 3 p.m., June 5th at 11 a.m., and June 8th at 10 a.m. And now by dictating those dates and times, which is even faster than choosing them manually, it's going to send it to Apple Intelligence, and same thing. I get the dates both in my time zone and in the destination time zone. Next, we mentioned Apple Pay requests before, and there are a couple actions that you can do that uses both Apple Cash and Square Cash. First, if you send a set amount to a certain person regularly, well, one, you can set up a recurring payment in Apple Cash, but you can also create an action like this in Shortcuts that sends a certain amount of money to a contact, and you can send it via Apple Pay or Cash App, Square Cash. You can also choose to open in app if you want to be able to adjust it before you send it. You can even add multiple recipients if you want, but those recipients need to have Apple Cash set up. But if you wanted to switch out that bill splitter shortcut that I talked about earlier, you can also request payment. And the request payment, this can be a variable. So like in my previous shortcut, it chooses whatever is due for each person. And again, you can use Apple Pay or Square Cash. And when you run this shortcut, it's going to send that request automatically. It didn't even open. I can go to my daughter's conversation, and sure enough, there is the $20 request I just sent. If instead you want to see it when it's run before sending, you can toggle that on, and you'll see a little pop-up before it actually sends. Next, I find search in messages to be pretty cumbersome, and this shortcut makes it easier. I've shared this one before, but it stopped working for some people, and we found out that if you try to search for your messages over a long period of time, like the last year, it's not going to work. It's going to kind of stall on you. So I'm sharing this version, and this looks for messages in the last 2 weeks. All you have to do is enter a search term. So it'll ask, what are you looking for? I can search for a word like Sunday, tap done, and it's going to quickly show me a bunch of results from different conversations. And if I tap one of these messages, it actually shows me the entire message with context, who I sent it to, and when I tap done, it's going to open that exact message in the conversation. I find this message search way faster than using the actual Messages app search. If you want to try and push this to a month or maybe a couple months, you can change that time right here. But just be aware, if you go for a year or longer, or if you just have a ton of messages, shortcut's probably going to freeze up. Next, someone in the community wanted a shortcut to download images from Reddit easily. Well, this shortcut does exactly that. I actually tried to build this with AI and it wasn't working, but then I built it manually and we're good to go. This is going to run from the share sheet, and it can run even from the Reddit app. Let's say you come across a post like from TV Too High. I can just hit the little share button, swipe over, and then tap more here at the bottom, and then run my shortcut, download Reddit images, and it's going to pull images from the post, and I can save it to my photos, I can share it, and you can change the last action to automatically save it to your photos if you prefer that. This also works with posts through multiple images. So here's something that has multiple. I can tap the reply, more, I run the same shortcut, download Reddit images. It's going to pull every image from the post. You can see here I can swipe through and we have all the different images. And again, I can tap share, save it to my photos, put it in files, wherever I would like. Next, in my action button video, which I'll link above and down in the video description, I have a capture shortcut, which actually takes whatever's on screen. If you're in Safari, it gets the URL, and then creates an Apple Note with a summary. Well, that one required Apple Intelligence, and someone asked for a version that uses Anthropic's Claude. Well, this is a version just for that. So if you have an older Apple device, no Apple Intelligence, but you have the Claude app, which, a side note, you have to have the Claude app installed so you can use their action, this version of the capture shortcut uses Claude. So when I run this, it'll still take a screenshot of whatever I'm looking at. It's dictating something, and this is a shortcut about capturing things using the Claude LLM to actually summarize it. You can finish that voice memo or just tap away. You don't have to record one. And just like before, it's going to take all that information, summarize it, and then it's going to create an Apple Note with all that stuff, including my voice memo transcribed, including any screenshots that it took, and a summary from Claude. And now no Apple Intelligence is required. You just need the Claude app. And someone asked for a slightly different version that does the same thing, but puts it in OmniFocus. Well, this shortcut does that. These are all my shortcuts for my 15th video post Apple Intelligence, all about shortcuts. It asks for the voice memo. This one's going to use Apple Intelligence, the built-in actions, and then it's going to do the same thing, create a summary, take the screenshot image, and then add it to a task. It does it all in the background, and if I go to my OmniFocus app, you see I ran it before, that was my Omni Shortcuts workflow, but I can expand the task, it has the summary, any transcription of a voice memo, and attach the screenshot as well. Next, if you want to log book reading and where you are in the book, this is a great shortcut from Abdullah in the Shortcuts community. When you run it, you can add a new book or continue reading a current book. I'll say new book. I started reading I'm Not a Robot by Joanna Stern, so I'll put that as the book title. It's going to use the third-party app DataJar, which is a great app. I'll link that below as well. What page? Well, I'm actually on page 5 right now. What page did I end on? Maybe I went to 25. And then it creates a note, says the day that I was reading, the title of the book, and how many pages I read. You might also want to create an Apple Notes list. I call mine Books, and this way everything is saved nicely there. Next, if you remember the old Trailers app, there's actually a hidden area of the current Apple TV app that has that same Trailers feature. So this shortcut opens that URL scheme, goes right to the movie and TV trailer section here in Apple TV, then you can tap a movie and watch the trailer right here. It's a simple URL scheme, and this is actually from Matthew Casanelli. I've subscribed to his shortcuts database for a long time, and that was a nice little find. Next, with beta season coming up, you might want to see the release notes for any of the new betas, and this is actually the website that shows all the changes. So you can just run this shortcut or bookmark the URL. It goes directly to that page from developer.apple.com, and you can see the release notes for the latest versions. Next, you can use the built-in writing tools from Apple Intelligence to reformat text so it sounds nicer or more formal. But this is also a shortcut that does the same thing with some custom prompts. So if you're sending an email, if you're sending a casual text message, or you want it to sound really formal, it'll take whatever you dictate and change how it sounds. We need to set a meeting to meet about the project management for design on iOS 27, and I want to make sure it can be a lunch meeting. Just make sure everyone brings the stuff to work for the lunch meeting. Once you dictate a little bit after that recording, you can choose if you want to send it in an email, a message, or formal. I'll just tap messages. We're going to send this in a casual text message, and then I can see the text message here and automatically send it, email it, whatever I'd like. Next, I had the occasion recently to download multiple episodes of a podcast and then transcribe them all and save those transcripts as text files, and this shortcut is exactly for that. You can put the RSS feed for your podcast right here, or whichever podcast you want to download from, and this shortcut allows you to choose multiple episodes, so you can choose the last 5 episodes of Primary Technology. It's going to get the MP3 file, transcribe it, and then save that file to a folder of your choice. Make sure to choose whatever folder you want to save it to here, and keep in mind, if the podcasts are long, like 1 hour and longer, your iPhone might not be able to transcribe that long, but if you run this same shortcut on your Mac, it should work like a charm. I've been able to transcribe multi-hour podcasts using the shortcut as long as you run it on your Mac. All right, and last shortcut, this is very use case specific, but it has been incredibly useful for me. So for context, when I record Mac Power Users with David Sparks, new episodes come out every Sunday, I like to mark the edit points because we send that to an editor while we record. This way I don't have to listen through or look at the transcript and try and find all those edit points. So I wanted to be able to run a shortcut that saves a timestamp and allows me to choose what that timestamp is for. So setting this up, a little complex. I'm using Audio Hijack to record audio, not only for my video right now, but also when I record Mac Power Users. I'll start that Audio Hijack session right here, and then I have this script that I put into Audio Hijack. Audio Hijack lets you do user scripts right here, and what this does is get the timestamp for the currently running session, and then puts that on my clipboard. And then I have this shortcut that runs, which is going to run that script in Audio Hijack, get the latest episode number from my Finder, which I have a folder for every episode number, and then the shortcut asks if it's an edit point, sponsor, or chapter marker, and then appends it to the bare note associated with that episode number. So if I run this shortcut, it's going to take a second, it runs that script, I'll see a choose from menu, maybe this is a chapter marker, we started talking about something new, I click done, and just like that, it put the timestamp with what that timestamp is appended to my bare note. This is a little complex and very specific to my use case, but if you use Audio Hijack, you want to be able to mark timestamps quickly. You have to change the script to actually match your Audio Hijack session, like MPU Podcast. That's what I run when we record the show. And you might want to edit this shortcut because I'm pulling the episode number from my Finder folders, which you could probably do that more cleanly or if you have a different system. But getting the clipboard, setting the time, and appending to a bare note, those steps would work. You just have to change the bare note title and all of that. If you really want to use this timestamp shortcut and the script, let me know your use case and we can try and customize that. And that's a great live session topic for my Shortcuts community. Again, you can join by going to shortcut.bot or scanning this QR code. Or if you want to learn in depth how to build shortcuts for yourself, you can join Shortcuts University. That's over 13 lessons, 12 hours of video where I walk you through building shortcuts step by step. And I'm going to be updating that for iOS 27 as new shortcuts actions come out. And I'm also going to be adding PDF guides for every lesson, timestamps for chapters, and more. And you get all those updates with the one-time purchase of Shortcuts University. You can get a deal here, $50 off by scanning the QR code, and the link is down in the video description as well. If you want to see my action button video where I first showed off that capture shortcut, voice memos, and a bunch of others, you can check out that video right here. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button before you go. WWDC is coming up if you're watching before there. Gonna have a ton of videos, shorts, Instagram reels, and all of that about what's announced at WWDC. So follow along. All my links are down in the video description as well. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you next time.